Talk about a crazy day. We've got wild stories plus your questions. So let's get started.
Screw your freedom.
You want answers?
I think I'm entitled.
You want answers?
I want the truth!
You can't handle the truth.
Oh my goodness, what a day. Welcome back to the Prepared Mind channel, folks. The bunker has been shaken and reverberating with SHTF, unbelievable BS, and it has erupted over the Second Amendment today. It has absolutely erupted. Oh, I guess everything else that was going on wasn't enough to just trigger the left. It wasn't enough over the outrage over Ukraine and Russia. It wasn't enough of the outrage over the Roe v. Wade. Oh, by the way, the Roe v. Wade decision, which they said could come out Monday, didn't. Tuesday, it hasn't. Wednesday, tomorrow, Thursday, Friday, will it? I bet right now, whoosh, the Supreme Court of the United States is sitting back on, oh, someone else can take the heat for a couple of days, right? Let's get a cup of tea and relax a little bit before we get our turn in the barrel. Woo! I tell you, folks, let's talk about it. I mean, can you believe how they just distract everyone? And I'm not saying that what happened in Texas is not an extreme, horrifying, terrible tragedy. I'm not saying that the parents, friends, family of people who are killed isn't heartbreaking, right? Right here, because if you've got children and family, you can empathize. If you're a decent human, you can empathize. I'm not saying that that's not important. What I'm saying is, on the Prepared Mind, we look out and see what is happening, right? We have our emotions and our thoughts, but we have to look out and see what's happening in the world with this. And can you believe it? The liberals, the Democrats, the scumbags, the rhino Republicans, the mainstream media, they're all out there marching in lockstep. Yeah, let's see. The war, guns, Roe v. Wade. All we need now is a racially motivated killing to just top it off. I tell you. Now, I guess they didn't get their way, folks. Yet another murdering thug is not a radical, right-wing, white person. Once again, folks, I'm sure the media was just disappointed, but they're going to put their heads down and go forward anyways. Where I want to start at with is who stopped this madman, and mad he was. 30 minutes before he commits his crime, he goes on Facebook and says, I'm going to go shoot a school. What kind of sick son of a bitch says that? Well, apparently there's a few sick SOBs out there, folks. But the guy who actually stopped the killer was a border patrol agent. He rushed in, apparently didn't have backup, and he was part of the border patrol, like their special forces, CERT team or SWAT team, if you will. But let's take a look at the news and the tragedy of this, right? What's the real tragedy, folks? Apart from those who were killed, right? We know that that's out there. But it's tragic that schools used to be educational centers for American children. Now there's social indoctrination hubs that preach Marxism, self-hatred, racism, and acceptance of mental illness, promoting mental illness. In fact, thank you, teachers. Thank you. Great job. But the armed border patrol agent, folks, killed the gunman, charges in without backup. Well done. A gun in the hand of a good person saves the day, because the tragedy could have been far, far worse. Folks, if guns kill, then guns can also save the day. Yay, guns. Guns are good, right? Government guns good, people's guns bad, right? Isn't this how this works with liberals, though? Or are the guns just tools used for good or evil, depending on who holds it, who wields the weapon, right? So this episode, this school shooting is fishy. The timing of it, the fallout, the willingness of the mainstream media to capitalize on it for political purpose. We'll talk about that more, and I know you have questions. It's hump day. Get your questions into Jolene, because I got the first half hour. You guys get the Q and the A. You get the Q and the A. Now, this episode is fishy. Why are mass shootings, especially at schools, much more frequent during the District of Columbia Democrat presidential administrations, while the nation led by Republicans tends to be more prosperous, patriotic, and safe? Why is there that huge difference, right? Common sense. Well, thanks, Joe and Obama, for the phrase common sense legislation. Common sense directs Americans to vote Republican. Yes? You want less shootings? Vote Republican. You want better economy? Vote Republican. You want a better standard of living? Vote Republican. Still, we get this mental derangement and violence from leftists, anti-American, anti-tradition, pro-tyranny institutions of education, schools, and colleges, right? That's where the problem is. The problem is not the gun, it's the dingbats. These dingbats out there are left-wing knuckleheads, a product of the education system. Should we be fully surprised, though, that the products of the education system, the really bad ones, turn on the thing that corrupted them and made them, I don't know. Is the school responsible for making them who they are? Unbelievable, folks. So good. Guns save people's lives. More guns are what's needed if we need more lives saved, folks. Now, and it was not a ghost gun. Oh, they wanted it to be a ghost gun so bad. I've read or read and heard that it was a Daniel's Defense AR-15, high quality stuff there, not a ghost gun. Now, this Border Patrol agent, he took initiative and he eliminated the criminals or criminal works, right? We should not be creating saints and martyrs from criminal scum. Goodbye, George. You know, justice for just us, regular people. Right? We should get the justice. You and I, the American people, right? Sadly, though, DC, Democrats, Rhino Republicans, and the mainstream media folks is going to continue to speak misinformation, dangerous and deadly misinformation through their corporate-funded bullhorns called the mainstream media, right? When will the people be able to censor the networks and the papers for all of their lies? Folks, the way you and I can do it, the way we can censor it is by doing what we already do, by not watching, listening, or reading their bullshit, right? Ignoring them works, but they're only going to lie louder than ever, hoping for us to listen to them and believe their shit. It is incredible, folks. Incredible what is going on. This was a big deal. Giant big deal, right? School shooting. They're splashing it everywhere. Would you think that the stock value of gun manufacturers would drop? Like, people would be very upset. We're so tired of Remington and Smith & Wesson and Ruger and whoever else. Well, firearm stocks went rising, folks, because they fear new gun control laws. That makes no sense, though. If there's new gun control laws, there'll be less guns, which means less profit and less value. So why did stocks go up? Because they know people are going to buy the shit out of guns. I think this is a huge backfire, folks. It shows that the American people like guns, appreciate guns, value guns, and understand what it's about. They understand the logic now. The common sense is only bad guys use guns to commit crimes. So by stopping the good guys, me and you, from having them, just makes the world a more dangerous place. Unbelievable, folks. Now, where do we go with this? Oh, let's go in this direction now, right? I mean, what direction do you want to go? You need, folks, food, water, shelter, clothing, medicine. You need means of self-defense. It was that means of self-defense which was used to protect the rest of those who hadn't been victimized by the shooter. That's a means of self-defense. A firearm, a weapon, an equalizer, a way to reach out and touch a bad guy and stop him from doing more bad. Right? I think I read a statistic. There are 57 stabbings in Germany a day. A day, 57 stabbings. Well, they don't allow guns there. 57 stabbings a day. It's a lot of people stabbed. Not that I would rather be stabbed than shot. I would rather have neither of those things happen. But it just goes to show you that bad guys don't care. They'll use whatever they can get their hands on to commit the crimes they like to commit. Still, they're going after the guns. And can you believe this? They already had gun control legislation ready to ram through the U.S. Senate. Up Chuck Schumer. He's there, folks. He already had the papers in his greasy little fingers. And he had to what? Had to postpone it. He had to shelve it because they don't have the votes. Is that incredible or what? Folks, I think Americans are sick of the Democrat playbook. Even other Democrats are not supporting it. They have the majority, folks. They have the majority in the Senate. Plus, dirty knees Kamala Harris as the tiebreaker if that were to be the case. They don't have the votes. So what does that tell us? It tells us unequivocally that there are Democrat senators who would vote it down. Is it going to be voted down because it's, number one, unconstitutional? The Second Amendment says, after describing the people's right to protect themselves and the nation, to keep and bear arms, it says, shall not be infringed. You don't have to get really close to see the words and understand them. Shall not be infringed. Do you think that Joe Biden's unpopularity and the fact that the Democrats are at the helm with the Senate, the House of Representatives, and the White House, and control of the bureaucracy, and the economy is tanking, no baby food, or baby food issues rather, supply issues, fuel prices, diesel prices, electricity, we're being told rolling blackouts coming, food shortages for us big people, not just babies. And we're supposed to be happy with the Biden administration and these people. Southern border wide open. Let's send $50 billion to Ukraine. What a marvelous idea while we're suffering here. Our cities are falling apart because Democrat mayors are turning them into shitholes, covered in hypodermic needles, feces, and God knows what other diseases. I'm surprised we don't have more outbreaks and epidemics and pandemics because of the filth in the cities. But let's send money, $50 billion to Ukraine. So what? Right? I already did my discussion yesterday afternoon on the World Economic Forum, and Henry Kissinger especially shocked me with his idea that they need to acquiesce, they need to give, they need to surrender, in other words, because the damage is done, right? They're not going to win. It's time to stop it. Waste of $50 billion. Oh, that's unbelievable. I mean, literally, folks, unbelievable. But here in America, we need to worry about guns because that's it. I mean, that's a settled question. Isn't the Second Amendment, having been around 250 years, and prior to that, the people of the world understood you have a right to defend yourself. You have a responsibility to defend your country. And that anyone that would take that away from you is a tyrant with the intent of hurting you. Just like the communists, just like the Nazis did, by disarming their people and then arresting them. Yeah, that's settled law. They're worried about Roe v. Wade, which is what, 40 years old, as a Supreme Court case. That's settled law. It's been settled. we had one case and it's been settled and we can never revisit it because it's been settled law. And so, yeah, but the Constitution is just a stupid piece of paper. The Bill of Rights, the First Amendment, we need to recalibrate that. We need to get rid of that archaic idea of free speech because it's dangerous. Second Amendment, dangerous. But, Roe v. Wade, that saves lives. Oh, wait, no. Sorry about that. They killed babies. So today, though, isn't about any of that. Today is about the mass murderer named Salvador Ramos, who wrote on Facebook, quote, "I'm going to shoot an elementary school. So Biden, Obama, Democrats want me and you to surrender our rights because a sick, murderous, creepy little shit committed premeditated murder." Sorry, folks, that's all the more reason to demand more rights and privileges to defend children and life in general, our nation. I mean, weren't we told that Russia commits atrocities? And this is why being the prepared mind allows me to just take an idea and run with it, right? Shouldn't we use common sense, Joe Biden? Or am I an extremist? I just might be an extremist.
Because this MAGA crowd is really the most extreme political organization that's existed in American history.
Really? Okay, well, how would Joe feel if Russia invaded America? Because Russia is thugs and murderers and invaders, and they're human rights violators, and they commit atrocities and genocide. Well, if they're that bad, shouldn't we expect them to invade America any day? That being the case, who is going to defend America if every border and every square inch has Russians crawling all over it? That would be me and you, once again. So how are we going to defend the country if we don't have our Second Amendment right? You see, they need every rule and every law passed only when it suits them. But that's really what the Second Amendment is about, defending ourselves against criminals and evil government, whether it is a foreign or domestic enemy. I mean, that is a phrase. And I can't remember if that was James Madison who put that phrase in there or whether it was Thomas Jefferson. It's part of every oath to defend the Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic. That foreign and domestic thing has been biting them in the ass forever, government. Because if it just said, and protect against all foreign enemies, no one would have stopped and thought, can we have domestic enemies? Is that possible? Yeah, folks, we definitely have domestic enemies. Here's an example of one right here. There was this guy showed up on TV, Representative Gallego, and he blamed Senator Ted Cruz for the deadly Texas elementary school shooting. And he said on the news, right, "F you, Ted Cruz, you effing baby killer." And I thought when I saw that, I was like, wait, it was Ted Cruz? Senator Ted Cruz murdered all those kids? Wait, those were babies that were murdered? Because, Representative Scumbag Democrat Gallego says that Ted Cruz is a effing baby killer. So those were babies that were murdered and not school kids? But wait, I thought Democrats loved killing babies. Millions and millions of aborted babies dead because of Democrats and their Roe v. Wade. Wait, I thought life was stupid and those who were killed were Texans, right? And they were probably deplorable and clung to their guns and Bibles. So what do you care, Representative Gallego? I mean, folks, it is so fundamental, this common sense thinking. It's for me, it is simple to look at what they're saying and see how they're hypocrites, see how they lie. They blow in the wind and they'll say whatever they want, right? Someone shoots the bad guy, right? And guns are bad. Someone doesn't shoot the bad guys, guns are bad. No matter what, guns are bad. Right? We could say that a private citizen protected the entire Democrat Party from a lunatic gunman because they used their gun to protect them, and they would still say guns are bad. It's just crazy. It's unbelievable. It's stunning. Stunning. Right? I tell you, I'm exasperated. Absolutely exasperated. But I'm also inspired. I'm inspired to be a prepper, to be a patriot, to be an American. I love my country. I love my Constitution. I love my guns. I love my Bible. I love all my preps. I love you guys, right? These other people, though, they don't love America, do they? Now, here's a prime example of another loving Democrat, right? By loving, I mean I'm using satire and facetiousness. Whoopi Goldberg. She actually can basically threaten violence. Now, I understand that maybe she can claim that she is satire too, because at one point she was some kind of comedic figure. Now you just look at her figure and she's comedic. Anyways, she lashed out today at Republicans. Lashed out. 1 second. Cerveza bug. This is what Whoopi Goldberg said. Quote, I swear to God, if I see another Republican senator talking about their heart being broken, I'm going to punch somebody. I thought Whoopi Goldberg was Jewish. Right? That's religion or something. You know, it's a faith. And she's going to swear to God that she's going to commit an act of violence. Well, you know, when you take an oath, you put your hand on the Bible and raise your other hand and say, I will or will not do something, I promise, yada, yada. That's called swearing to God. Hand on Bible, right? Hand in the, not hiding anything. My fingers aren't crossed. All right, so if Whoopee Cushion, farting machine Goldberg, was empathetic, she could sympathize, right? She could empathize. She could feel loss and suffering of these kids and teachers that were killed. But she's a selfish hypocrite because she sympathizes with the pro-abortion crowd. So she knows what empathy and sympathy is. You know, so she sympathizes with the pro-abortion crowd, the real baby killers, when they lose their arguments and baby killing privilege the government granted them. She can sympathize with that, but not with somebody who actually feels and understands and is sorry. And I think this Border Patrol agent, I wish he had been able to get there faster. I wish more people had guns and had gotten in there and stopped this guy sooner. I wish somebody who saw his Facebook post would have said something. Unbelievable. Now, Biden's Department of Justice has released new guidance on use of force policy for federal police, which I think includes Border Patrol agents. And this is nothing shocking, folks, because, you know, it can't be good. I can't imagine Biden and the Department of Justice coming up with any use of force policy that is going to make our country safer. Right? Because it seems like if you're a protester and a Republican, you go to jail. And if you're a protester and a Democrat, you don't. And in other news, George Floyd has been drug-free for 2 years. Congratulations, George. He hasn't committed a crime. He hasn't broken the law in any way. No speeding. George Floyd, drug-free 2 years. And Ashley Babbitt still has not had justice for the person who shot her. Dead at the hands of a federal officer. Could it be that this use of force for policy or for federal police, do you think that could be because of Ashley Babbitt? Or do you think they want to make sure Democrats this summer don't get shot attempting to murder police citizens commit arson and loot. I'm probably certain that's more what we're looking at. Now, do you remember back in 2020, there was this scumbag politician named Beto O'Rourke? Beto, is that a name? It sounds like a prescription drug. I've got some indigestion. Well, you Beto get something for it with new Beto, right? Beto O'Rourke. This idiot was running for president, and he talked about taking all the guns. We're going to get all these guns, and guns bad, guns bad. And then a few months ago, Beto O'Rourke tried coming out and saying, no, we're not going to take any guns. We don't have any desire to take the guns from the American people. Well, this jackass, Beto O'Rourke, shows up in Texas, because he's from Texas, and interrupts a somber, sober discussion by the leadership, right? That would be Governor Abbott. That would be his administration, right? But Beto O'Rourke shows up and walks up to the front and interrupts, right? Opens his yap and starts heckling the people who are talking for political gain, folks. And he got basically shouted down. I watched this play out on the news, right? The news cut away because one of the administration officials said, sit down, you're a sick son of a bitch, and started giving Beto O'Rourke the what for. We need more of this when these stupid left-wing sick sons of bitches pull their shit. They need to be told, shut up. They need to be shouted down. Haven't they been trying to do that to Republicans and honest citizens and taxpayers? Shut up. We're taking your money. Shut up. We'll spend it where we want. We're going to let in every illegal immigrant. We're going to pass every stupid law. We're going to violate your rights. We're going to tax the shit out of you and shut up and take it. It was Maxine Waters who said, oh, yeah, we need you to find Republicans wherever they're at the store, at restaurants, and you need to shout them down. You need to harass them, tell them they're not welcome, right? All but called for violent attacks. And wasn't it Senator Rand Paul who was being harassed and threatened by left-wing idiots, right, who were shouting at him, threatening to kill him? And if he didn't have armed security, folks, it could have been very bad for him and his wife. Oh my gosh, yes. Oh, by the way, super spreader Jake Tapper tested positive for cerveza bug and still went and filmed an interview. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Now, I spent the entire show essentially so far on the Texas school shooting by the scumbag lunatic and the fact that guns saved the day, that America wants its guns, that laws being passed to take the guns aren't welcome. Wow. Now, one more thing. The Ministry of Truth, the Disinformation Governance Board, a handful of U.S. senators have demanded the internal records for this organization, for this attempt, this bureaucracy. What are they going to find, folks? Will they be given the records? Will they be denied? Will it be stonewalled? I'm starting to wonder if Congress and the Senate have any real power at all. Because anytime Republicans want something, they don't get it. I'm starting to wonder if Republicans in Washington have any power at all. Now, we've got an election coming up. Everything is falling apart, folks. Food supply. Another big news story today was the wheat harvest. And I talked about the wheat in Ukraine and how they want to ship it out. But Voldemort Zelensky, placed 420 underwater mines around Ukraine, so ships can't get in or out. And they're saying it's a Russian blockade, right? You know, we've got a lot of stuff going on, folks. A lot of stuff going on. You want environmental social governance, ESG investing? The world is falling apart. The economy, we're having food problems, fuel problems, and these idiots want to push their feel good. I don't want to be triggered. The world's going to end because of climate crisis. And so you invest in companies that are ESG qualified. Meanwhile, they fire a guy who really didn't say anything bad. Not the way we would hope he would, right? But because their feelings got hurt. Unbelievable, folks. Don't forget, even though right now we're all upset because, about 20 people are dead and many more are injured, by the way. And I pray that they heal and recover very quickly. Don't forget that over in Russia, folks, people are being killed left and right because there's an actual war going on there. Because Zelensky is not giving up. Russia is busy defeating them. They're all very busy, folks. Very busy solidifying their hold on eastern Ukraine. So a lot of us might say, well, okay, why doesn't Zelensky surrender and say, okay, those areas of eastern Ukraine, they can be free. They can be their own independent states, and just leave us with central and western Ukraine, and everyone will be happy. Well, the reason they don't want to give up eastern Ukraine, folks, is because that's where the wealth is. That's where the production is. That's where the good farming is. Because in eastern Ukraine, folks, that's where the Russians live. The ethnic Russians live there, and they make it a very productive area. It's about making money. It's always about power, money, and control. The other type of power, money and control. That's what power is. And these people don't want to give it up. They don't want to give it up. It's time for the Q and the A. It's time for your questions and my answers.
Are you ready?
Okie dokie. I hope you got your questions in, because you should have a lot to ask. I'm still asking questions right now. I want to know what the hey, right? What is going on? Where is this going? When are they going to stop this? In a way, it's like they never stop. They have never stopped my whole life. Screwing shit up, screwing people over. It's a screw job. I mean, how about a decade of peace, prosperity? How about that? Why is there always some war that has to be fought? Why is there always some social program that I have to be taxed to death along with you and everyone else? Why can't everyone just shut the hell up and be peaceful for 10 years? I'd like that in my lifetime. And I'm going to get to heaven and they're going to say, John, you lived a life where there wasn't any peace. We're really sorry about that. I'd be like, yeah, a lot of people didn't get to live a very peaceful life. But I don't know if that's ever possible, if that's ever really true. Peace and prosperity. I guess when scumbag politicians, when they see peace and prosperity, they see that the people are calm, they're satisfied, they're doing well, they're happy, and they just can't stand that. They see that as a sign of weakness, a sign that they can go in and exploit. Right? They can make some money on it. They can get some power by creating a problem and then offering their solution that empowers them and enriches them. Typical jackasses. They've always been there, folks. Always. Jolene, what do you have in mind? Who's got a question for us? Well, we got Bonnie Blue, 2A, stepping up. And she writes, a good friend runs the School Shield program in his state. He had to cancel the June class because not enough schools were interested in getting teachers training to be armed and stop the bad people. Well, you see, I've got your answer there, Bonnie. It's because the school teachers were too busy out recruiting, what do you call those people? Yeah, drag queens to come in and read to the children and teach children the value of reading. Now, of course, the books that they're going to want to read are, how to take a saw to your genitals, why you should hate your parents, America, the great racist nation that needs to be destroyed. I'm sure they read all of those books, but at least they're learning to read. Yeah, teachers don't want to learn to defend themselves and the children. Number one, because they really don't care about the kids. I know there's good teachers, and if you're a good teacher, a good teacher, you're off to the side. We're not talking about you, right? Move along and do some more good teachers and good things, good teaching. We're talking about the leftist scumbags who hate this country and want everyone else to hate it. And so they take a young, developing mind, the mind of a child, and they say, hey, it's harder to change the mind of an adult who's grown up, been educated, and can think for themselves. So let's educate young children to think the way we think they should think. We should tell them your parents are dumb. Parents are stupid. It used to be that teachers taught kids to question authority. And they felt really sneaky about that. Like when I went to school, you kids should question authority. And so I did. I questioned the authority of the teachers because they were the ones, folks, who were acting like an authority figure, teachers and parents, of course. I can trust my parents. Teachers screwed you over. But, they figured out how to convince children to not trust their parents. Unbelievable. Yeah, they're not interested. I wonder how many schools are now going to be interested. You see, because it wasn't just students who were killed, teachers were killed. So teachers, you corrupt children's minds, teach them to hate others. They can turn on you. The same way, I guess you could take a dog and you could train it to be a killer, to bite and attack and hate everything. Well, it can turn around and hate on you pretty hard, huh? I think we may have had a little bit of an eye-opener here for the teachers. And just like other shootings, yeah, some of the teachers, they're like, yeah, we want to be part of that. We want to learn to defend ourselves and the kids. Back then, my younger son, Luke, he's awesome. They had a potential shooter at his school. They had a lockdown. Police were running all over the place, and he took charge in his class. Teacher didn't. And they barred the door and then got weapons. They weaponized whatever the hell they could get their hands on. I can't remember, broomsticks or handles or something. They're going to beat the hell out of anyone who broke into the classroom. Anyways, yeah, he got a commendation for that. It was quite great. I had that pinned to the refrigerator. Yeah. It's time we stop bad people, whether they have a gun or a stupid idea that is hurting people. Right? This student, I feel, this student, whatever Ramos, he's a sick person. How do you think he got that way? Where do kids spend all of their time now, folks? 8 hours a day in school? They spend hours in front of the computer. What are they learning and listening and reading? What's in front of every kid when they watch television? You turn on regular television, it's full of this anti-America, pro-fruitcake agenda. The LGBS is off the hook. Unbelievable. Woo, okay. I'm sending a message here, Jolene. And who is next? Who do we have next? Oh, Latin American preparedness. Great. Several mass shootings happened over the past couple of weeks. AR-15 is the gun used in a majority of shooting. Mainstream media and Democrats want to ban certain guns. Should they punish the criminals leaving us alone? AR-15 is the gun used in a majority of shootings. Let's understand this. The people that are committing these crimes are left-wing lunatics. They know, they're smart enough to know that if they commit their crime using the weapon that their teachers hate, that the government hates, then that's going to help them. See, they hate America. This Ramos guy hates America, hates other kids. I mean, how can you hate other kids and hate teachers enough to want to kill them? So he knows that he hates America. He hates probably everyone else. He hates his grandmother. He hates the kids. He hates guns, but he can use it so he can accomplish several tasks. Several tasks. Task number one, he can use his power over others to hurt them. What is it that teachers appear to be doing to these kids? They're using their power as adults, their mental power, and their martial power in the classroom to punish. They get to hurt kids. So this kid, now he gets to hurt other kids. He gets to push his social revenge on the rest of the world by using a weapon he knows that's going to be pointed to and hated. So he gets to hate America at the same time he hates other kids and commits this heinous crime, right? And I think people go into these mass shootings knowing they're going to be killed, more than likely. They know it. Right? A lot of them go in and kill themselves, right? Thank you, Jolene. A lot of them go in knowing that they're going to be killed. So this is a suicide mission for them. They hate America. They hate their fellow students. They hate their teachers. Sometimes they hate their parents too. And they hate themselves. They know they're going to die. This is a way for them to either kill themselves or have someone else kill them. They want their life to end. These wacko leftist suicide people. They go around and commit mass murder. Why do they hate themselves? Could it be that the teachers and the education system has taught them to hate themselves? I dare say it's not the Republicans teaching them to hate themselves. It's not churches teaching these people to hate themselves. Right? It's the education system. It's the political left that is teaching people to hate themselves. Children, hate yourselves because you're white or your parents are white. Oh, the one that really gets me is interracial marriages where a child looks at one parent or the other that's white and hates them. Right? And so the other parent is, well, they probably look at their parent of color. There's a POC, the parent of color, and say, how did you marry that person? Aren't we supposed to hate the white parent? Right? They hate themselves. They hate their country. Who's teaching them that? The radical leftists, folks. Antifa, BLM, the Communist Party of America, the Socialist Party of America, the Democrats in Washington. Folks, the Democrats in Washington, D.C., they can't say a good damn thing about America. No wonder so many kids are fucked up. They're not hearing from anyone in a position of power how good they are or how good it is to be an American and be an American. Right? That was the deal with President Trump. In a lot of ways, he was like Ronald Reagan. He made Americans proud to be American again. Right? I remember when I was a kid, folks, 1979. Here comes Reagan. Through the 80s, when I grew up, I guess I am blessed to have been a kid who became politically aware of the world, right? I grew out of that toddler stage and that young adult and started seeing a wider world at school and that there's a whole country and a whole planet out there. And there's a president, Reagan, saying, America, right? City on the hill, right? America the great, land of the free, home of the brave, all that stuff. What are kids hearing today from their government in Washington, D.C.? Oh, the government is racist, and it was started by a bunch of racists. Your parents are racists. Your culture is racist. Yeah, here we are. How beautiful is that? Get your questions into Jolene. She might sneak a couple in more for me. We've got Opie Waddell. And he says, John, I went to vote last week. Was told I had to choose Democrat, representative, or independent. I wanted to vote across the board. I was told the representative would be blank, no names, and no write-ins, right? No write-ins for cross-party voting. So I had to vote down ballot or not vote at all. This is what happens in the primaries. Some states have open primaries where you can vote for whoever you want. And it is in those areas where a bunch of Democrats can vote over on the Republican side and say, vote for someone like Ratspermer in Georgia and keep him on as the Secretary of State or the Attorney General. I can't remember which job is his that he's totally blown. But yeah, you can affect the other parties. And so I understand the philosophy or the thinking behind the open ballot system, and I can see how it can be abused. And when it comes to the closed or party primary, I can see how it is boring as hell, right? But whoever you vote for in the primary, what we've been doing lately, it doesn't matter, right? If you've got great candidates, right? You're going to have one or two Republicans, and you know who is going to win, right? Who's the most popular, who's the most patriotic. Hopefully you've got that scenario like in the state of Georgia. Herschel Walker is just walked away with it. I think he got over 70% of the vote in the primary, right? And if there's only one, sometimes there's no candidates, right? Or one candidate, no competition. So in the primary, it's kind of boring. Now in California, when I was there voting, we had referendums. We had ballot measures and taxes and local stuff. There's always something else to vote on. But primaries, you know, being what they are, they're rather boring. You want fireworks? It's coming, Opie. Thank you very much, though. It's a great topic. Understanding our system. What I would like to see is more of us, patriot types, getting involved in the election process. Not just voting. I mean, voting is important, yes, but getting involved in the vote counting. A lot's come out about that the last couple of years, huh? First, it was get out the vote, and then it was get out the vote counting apparatus. And it's also who gets selected, who gets nominated. That's very, very, very important. Who gets nominated is critical. If, there's only scumbags on there to vote for, then we get nothing but scumbags. And we've discovered also, I think, in the instance of Madison Cawthorn, if you don't, pardon me, if you don't toe the party line, the corruption, then you're going to get ousted. I think that's a great lesson for all of us to learn. Madison Cawthorn stood up to the scumbags. The scumbags threatened him in front of everybody, in front of the whole world. And they did. They got him out. So what we need to do is replace them and all other rhino Republicans and sellouts and scumbags. And we can do that if we become part of the local political process so that we get good candidates selected. So there's no one to choose in the primary except really good candidates who are going to go and fight. And yeah, they're going to get beat on, folks. I don't think we want a politician who goes to Washington or any state capital and thinks that it's going to be all skittles and parties and bubbly. No, you should expect when you go to any political job that you're going to be in a fight the whole time. That you're going to be picked on, that people are going to try ruining your life. That's public service, right? You step out in front of the light, folks. Someone puts a spotlight on you, and you're going to find out how much they hate you as much as you find out how much those that support you love you. this particular job right here, right in front of the camera, right? I'm exposed, and so people attack me. They say nasty, nasty shit. They try and ruin my life. And so it takes a degree of fortitude to do this. And so, yeah, we need more people like that. And a lot of people are like, I'd love to run, but I don't want to deal with the shit. I can't blame them. I can't blame them a bit. I mean, nobody really wants to get attacked. But the consequences of good people doing nothing is always tyranny. And that's what we're facing right now. Chuck Schumer is just livid and dying because he wants to pass his gun control. He has lived his entire political life to destroy the Second Amendment. He's been in Congress in one form or fashion as a congressman or as a senator since the 80s. The guy is a dyed-in-the-wool, goose-stepping liberal scumbag. And I'm sure he would love to pass more anti-gun legislation before he croaks. I don't wish death on anyone, but some people, the sooner the better, frankly. Okay. Jolene, do we have a couple more? Can I get to some of my stuff? Well, we got the Mr. Ooman. Okay. Once again, folks, get in your questions. We got Ooman. He says, how the hell are we supposed to know what is offensive or upsetting when it changes on a daily basis? The only way to stop this crap is to say, fuck their feelings, and not give a shit. That is the point of free speech. Like, how do you know where the limit is unless you get to the limit, right? A dog will run around the entire yard, but the fence is what stops it, right? The fence, that's the line. That's the line that stops the dog. But when the fence gets moved every day and the dog is blind, you're always getting blindsided. You're running into it. It does change on a daily basis now with the liberals, right? Like this one idiot Gallego, he's like, you're a baby killer. And it's like, dude, just yesterday, you're Mr. Abortion, and now you want to complain and call someone a baby killer because they support the Second Amendment? Frankly, there is no provision in any law that says you're not allowed to be offended, that you should be protected from being offended. It's asinine to believe, right? It's kind of like these kids that want to be called by the pronoun that they choose. And that if you don't call them by that pronoun, that you have committed a crime. In Canada, it's a hate crime. And my thing is, why? Why am I obligated to call somebody anything or to address them in a way they specify? Since when am I obligated to not hurt someone's feelings, to not offend them? And they go so far as, well, not only do I have to not offend them or upset them, but I have to accommodate their feelings. And I have to accommodate what I consider to be mental illness. I read some article, man. It may have come from you, man, right? Where a psychologist, psychotherapist, right? They run out and just apologize to these idiotic youths. We're so sorry that you've been offended, and we want to provide a safe space for you. To me, it's unfathomable, the idea of safe space. I'm prepared on a daily basis to be absolutely offended at all times. Politically, socially, personally, it happens. The way someone looks at me, the way someone talks to me, they don't treat me the way I would prefer to be treated. It's offensive, I guess, if I really wanted to be feelings-based and think the world revolves around me. And I think that's really part of this trophy generation. We're into the second generation of trophy kids that think they get a participation trophy, that there are no losers, and that everyone's a winner and everyone else should accommodate their desires. It's ridiculous. The idea that to each according to their need and from each according to their ability to give. right? That's Marxism. So if I have the ability to give these people what they want, treat them like little kings and queens, and that is their need, then it must happen, right? So in other words, all of this feel good, think good stuff is completely total communism. It is actually, as far as I'm concerned, it is terrorism with communism against those. Now, the other part that gets me is this is the flip side. I want to be addressed as Your Highness. Nobody ever does. Well, they're like, well, you're a white male and nobody has to do what you say. Well, how come they get what they want, but I don't, and you don't? None of us do, except these kids. It's like they have never grown up past the age 5. Hell, I knew a long time ago children, right, age 4, age 3, who were more psychologically grounded in reality than these idiots, these imbeciles who are graduating from high school and college now, who don't know jack shit. And then we wonder why some of them, right, these irresponsible punks, show up at school and start killing people. Very sad, folks. It is an awful, awful thing. Okay. You know, where do we go, folks? Right? All of this happened. Everything we talked about happened since this morning's videos. By tomorrow morning, when I come back and open up and look at things, there's going to be more of this. It doesn't go away. It doesn't stop. Right? It's incredible how much crap they're going to keep throwing at us. You know, I've got you know, this stuff that happened. I want to talk about you and I now. Apparently, a secret video recording was leaked. One of the January 6th prisoners released some video footage from his disgusting, filthy, mold-infested jail cell. And I wanted to say that we allow this, folks, you and I. We, the people, allow the imprisonment of people in clear violation, folks, of constitutional law, precedent. It's clearly horrible what happens in jails and prisons everywhere. We all know the stories about don't drop the soap, right? But we're allowing this to happen up there now. The same way we're allowing kids in schools. Now we got a little more control over the schools, right? And that's happening. That's a fight that's happening. But in Washington, we're allowing that because we aren't suffering enough. We aren't directly affected by it. And we think someone else can fix it fast because it is so clearly wrong. Right? The only politicians who have made an effort are labeled extreme by the mainstream media. So I suppose, you know, because they're an extreme freedom politician, their opinions are invalid. But folks, where are the mega lawsuits against the DC government? Where are the lawyers who should be marching up and down the street to make a name for themselves and demonstrate their aptitude in the law? Right? Or could it be that the filthy crony Democrat capitalist system is all too powerful now? And so I'm going to say, do not ever go to DC ever. It's not a swamp, people. It's a fetid cesspool of immorality and legalized criminal cartels. And we allow it because to do otherwise, we would be called, right, extremists, terrorists, insurrectionists. Let's vote in the best people we can to send them to Washington, D.C. to fight on our behalf, to cause all kinds of trouble up there, because we can see that the trouble they've caused out here just incites those in Washington to cause even more trouble. It's a self-feeding, self-prophesying machine. They're destroying America. America's falling apart, so they say, let's destroy it some more. Wow. Are you prepared? Food, water, shelter, clothing, medicine, means of self-defense, and a plan. Are you ready? I hope you are. Get long-term food storage. Get what you need. We've got all the addresses down here. Food storage. You know, your prepper supply zone is thepreparedmind.club. And I want to thank you on Patreon for supporting this channel and our efforts to wake people up, to get them to think, to share ideas, communicate, and of course, to use satire in the process. All right, everybody, I'll see you soon. I can't believe it, folks. It's so hard to believe that that's the world we live in. That's okay, though. We'll be back tomorrow.